Hey, Shalom Shalom Mishpokah. This is Rabbi Yehuda, and I'm continuing my series on movies and entertainment, and this is part 4, and I'm going to be dealing with language and drug use. So let me read directly from my blog. Hollywood does not hold the same values or worldviews as we do, and why should we expect them to? After all, it's the world. And as such, though not excusable, language needs to be expected in films and usually occurs during an action sequence, and as such, most of us hear this in school or in the workplace. Again, not saying that it's justifiable, but giving reasons behind why things are the way they are. Many times, by either DVD or TV settings, can exclude such verbal obscenities sprinkled about in shows or movies. However, I am vehemently opposed to films where half the script and every other word is a profanity, innuendo, or the F-bomb. This is offensive and simply not realistic. Usually films are rife with senseless violence, sexual nudity anyhow, and should not be viewed. Such films, sadly, cannot even be decently edited without destroying the continuity of the film, which tells me it was a crappy storyline anyway and not worthy of the big screen. So, language, sometimes it's to be expected, where in a stressful situation, in a chase sequence or a fighting sequence, or somebody gets scared, they will say a curse word, a cuss word. This happens in real life, and that's to be expected. But if we are able to filter this out through the V-chip or through other technologies that filters such language and obscenities, whether it's live streaming video or whether it's a DVD or whether it's TiVoed or whatever, I highly recommend that, because we hear language without wanting to as much as it is, whether we're at school or in the workplace or what have you, and we shouldn't voluntarily bring language like that into our lives. Although sometimes it could be virtually inescapable. Even in PG movies, you will have the D word or the S word. Not to mention, the word for hell, the word, or the A word referring to someone's buttocks. Like I said, if they can be filtered, that's wonderful. Do whatever you can that you can filter these out. But it's the world. Not saying that it's justifiable, not excusing the world for pumping out such stuff, but giving you a reason, and that really nowadays it's not realistic that you can find a movie without language in it somewhere. The goal is, and the key is, if you have a way to where you could censor it through the V-chip or through other technologies, or if you simply know it's coming up and your family is watching, you can mute it at that particular point where the person's saying that swear word. So that's regarding language. So moving on to drug use. Again, similar to nudity, is the drug use. Let me start all over. Again, similar to nudity, the question about drug use. Is the drug use glorifying and advocating illicit drug use, or is it shown to emphasize the evil trap that it is? Kind of like anthropological nudity, it's to basically, as a shock value, to show the evil of a situation such as the Holocaust, like Schindler's List. Or it's in a documentary, it's just a fact of life, and it's there, it's a third world country, and they can't afford clothes, or it's just culturally acceptable in that area not to be topless. So is the drug use being glorified? Such movies as Pulp Fiction, you kind of get the impression that drug use is glorified and is advocated because it's the in thing or the cool thing. Or is the drug use shown to emphasize the evil trap that it's in? There's a show about somebody who rescues people who are addicted to drugs. I forget what the show's called, but I think it's on Showtime or one of those, networks. But it does show drug use, but it's not glorifying drug use. I think of way back to the 30s where the movie Public Enemy with James Cagney. A lot of critics had a big beef about the movie because they thought it was glorifying gang violence, mobster violence, when in fact the movie Public Enemy showed the mobster lifestyle and how somebody could slowly get into that lifestyle, but it wasn't meant to glorify it. So the movie Public Enemy has this disclaimer at the beginning of the film saying that this movie is kind of shown as a warning to watch yourself so you don't go down this path. And this movie is in no way advocating or glorifying gangs or violence or the mob. So that's the kind of same thing we have to ask ourselves and question ourselves when we see a movie and there's drug use in it. Is it being glorified, or is it shown as an evil trap that it is? Answering the question will help one determine if a movie with such content is appropriate to view. So sometimes you will have your family viewing a movie and they will be violence, or they will be language, or there will be drug use in it. And that is a good opportunity, maybe after the movie, or maybe even during the movie, pausing it and sitting down with your kids and saying, okay, now this person used this word. Is this acceptable? No. Well, why is it not acceptable? Well, because and you guys can discuss it and bring Torah into it, and you could actively be involved in your child's entertainment viewing. Then you can ask maybe such questions as, well, instead of that word, what could they have used, or what could they have done? What should they have done? Or, maybe you say, what do you think about that guy punching the other guy? Was that a nice thing to do? Was it the right thing to do? No. How would you handle the situation if you were in it? What would you do differently than the character in this movie? Or such as drug use. Wow, did you see him do that? This person can't stop themselves. They're sick. They have an addiction. This movie's showing how bad drugs are. And we know that mommy and daddy has told you and taught you that, drugs are wrong and drugs are bad. And this movie's showing why it's bad, why it's wrong, all the bad things that can happen when you abuse alcohol and when you abuse drugs and things such as this. So this ends my segment on movies and entertainment dealing with language and drug use. So tune in next time, and I will tackle the touchy subject of humor in movies. So tune in next time. Shalom and Shavua Tov.